What do you think about teaching kids from a young age to, not mandatory, but extremely encouraged?
Well, if they were included as a school sport, would be,
Yeah.
I think,
Uh-huh.
it would be a great thing. If they could make it accessible to school kids, like, I think just the impact it would have on their life. And like, people are so naive to the value that you get from being exposed to a martial art in any capacity. People are so naive to the value from that. Some people are against it, man. Like, there's people who are anti martial arts. There's people who are like, "Oh, that'll make my kids violent." I'm like, "You fucking idiot! That'll do the opposite."
Got to control the monster, man.
You know what I mean? They have to be exposed to the monster. Once I used to get in fights a lot as a kid. Like, I used to be.
Wow, that does not surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling my parents that I was like a very badly behaved kid, and I was very impulsive and very this and very that. And like, even up into my early teens, like, I used to brawl. I'd get kicked out of hockey games. You know what I mean? Like, I had so many penalty minutes in hockey. But when I did martial arts, suddenly that switched. I became a fighter in the gym, but then fighting outside kind of like took a back seat. I didn't get in fights anymore. I stopped getting in fights. I make that like, it's hilarious. As soon as I knew how to fight, I didn't get in fights anymore. I can count on one hand the street fights I've been in since I've started training.
And why is that? Why do you think is that?
I'm not interested. Also, it's my ego, man. My ego's been checked. I don't give a shit. I'm not interested in measuring my cock with somebody on the street.
The more you understand violence, the more you understand I'm going to start calling it the monster. Somebody said that the other day and I really like it.
The monster. That's it.
Yeah. The more you understand your monster, the more you understand. I tend to see the monster as a very aggressive dog. If the dog is on the leash, the dog listens. But every now and then, you have to unleash the monster. Mm-hmm. But 99.99999% of the time, monster is just eating a bone and just at
in his
bay.
crate.
He's in his crate and he's at bay. But somebody, I think it might have been you, 3 days ago, that called it the monster. And since then, I keep on. I
love that analogy, man. I love thinking about it. I love thinking about it as the monster, like facing the monster. Nobody even wants to acknowledge the monster,
I'm taking notes. I'm taking my cell phone out because I'm working on a t-shirt line, and I think I'm gonna.
We're onto something here.
But I've been trying to explain this for years, and I never thought about calling it a monster. Mm-hmm. I always think it's like the atrocities that you're able to that you're capable of doing. You need to understand yourself in order to know what you're capable of.
Yeah. Oh, I think people are so separated from nature nowadays that we're separated from nature. We're so far separated from violence, at least in our society where we live here in Canada.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People are so far separated from violence that they think that action movies are like real. They think that shit is, they get their idea of how violence works from movies and from video games. They've never, because they're so far separated from it, they're so quick to criticize those who actually have to use it. They're quick to criticize the people who hold society together. They're quick to criticize the people who use violence in any way. And they say, "Oh, you should have done this. You should have done that. Shame on you. Shame on you." But they shame violence in all contexts. Like, they shame it even when it's, I think, necessary, because they themselves are so far separated from violence as a necessity that they demonize it. They think that, like, oh man, like how barbaric that had to end that way. That police officer had to do X. You know what I mean? Mm. You know what I mean?
So you side with. So you understand the value of police officers.
Absolutely. I value police officers and law enforcement and military and like all these, like, so highly, man. I have a personal relationship with them too. Like, I know a lot of people who are military and police and who the people who hold the line of society. You know what I mean? People who are trained in violence, people who understand violence. You know what I mean? And obviously, yes, there's instances where that gets out of hand and abused and is inappropriate and is is disgusting in some cases. You know what I mean? Like, but in terms of as a whole, in some way, shape, or form, even for civilians, let's take that whole aspect out of it. Even for civilians to understand violence, it's so rare nowadays.